Hey there guys, and welcome to a first look video on a new game that came out yesterday called Tharsis. Tharsis is an FTL-esque, RNG-centered, dice-based game. That's the best way I can explain it. What is Tharsis? Tharsis is a game where you take control of a crew of 6. Unfortunately, as you can read in the box that immediately begins at the start of the game, 2 of the crew members die instantaneously, and they always die. There is no way of avoiding that. So you're down to a crew of 4, and the entire point of the game is to manage your crew's health, as you can see on the right hand side of their portraits, their stress, which is the bar on the left hand side of their portraits, their dice, which is the little blocks below their portraits, and the events that appear throughout the ship. Now, the entire point is to manage these in such a way that you survive, at least one crew member survives and gets to Mars. The story behind this game is that you are the very first manned mission to Mars. During your travel, or your journey, you get hit by a meteorite storm, which destroys your food stores, so you have very little food, if any. And your ship is constantly taking damage due to damaged systems. So how do you combat this? Well, every event, every damaged system is an event, and every event requires dice to be rolled and added up to a total which is displayed on the event. So you can see that on one of the events on screen right now, that I need a dice total of 27. There are different hazards when it comes to events, and you can see these by looking at the event icons. There are dice on the event icons. They are blue dice, which means they are stasis dice. Now what this means is that for every dice that a character or crew member rolls of that number, so 3 is blue, every 3 or 1 that this crew member rolls, those dice become locked. They become frozen. You can't re-roll them, you can't put them in the dice hold, although technically they're already held. You can use them for your crew members' abilities, you can use them for the room abilities, and you can use them to add to the total. Now, this can be counteracted. You can see in the top right there is a food store and a assist store. So assists, you can have a maximum of 3, and they are used automatically whenever you roll a dice. And what they do is they stop a bad thing happening. So here I roll a 1 and an assist is automatically used in order to stop the dice being frozen and completely unusable. And that's kind of how it works. Now, there aren't just stasis hazards, there are 2 other types of hazards, and stasis is by far the least of your worries. The other 2 hazards, there's a orange dice hazard, which is, so say this 3 was an orange 3, then that means for every 3 I roll, the crew member who rolls that dice takes an injury, for every 3. So say you roll 4 dice, and all 4 dice are a 3, then you take 4 damage, lo and behold, the crew member is probably dead. That's kind of how this game works. The other hazard that you can come across is called void. So say a dice is purple, so say this 3 is purple, and you roll a 3, then that dice disappears into the ether. You can't use it to reroll, you can't use it to research, which is down below, I'll explain in a minute. You can't use it to add to the total, you can't use it for the room ability, or for the crew member's ability. Now, this is the worst one possible, because the dice is completely unusable. At least with the injury, it doesn't lock the dice. It does injure a crew member, which is very dangerous. But you can reuse the dice and you can use it in any way you want. The issue with stasis is that you can't use the dice at all. You can't re-roll it, I mean. So it's locked to whatever value it's at, which if it's 6, good. If it's not 6 or 5, then it's not really that good. But I think stasis is probably the least of your worries. Injuries and void are definitely the worst hazards possible. Now, each event has a damage effect. So there are 2 phases in the game. The first phase is the playable phase, which is where you select your crew, you move them to whatever room you want to move them to. They complete the event, or they don't complete the event, depending on your dice rolls. And then once your entire crew member, all of your crew members have taken a turn, then your ship begins its damage phase, in which case all damage is calculated simultaneously. There are multiple kinds of damage, and this is kind of where I wish the game, and this is for the devs if they are listening, what would be nice is if you could click on an event and it would give you a little box that just explained what the event does. And for events that don't necessarily have anything, like they don't do anything that, they just do damage to ship. For example, you could say, you could explain what is happening within the room. So there's a wire event be here, and you could just say, this wire has come loose due to this reason. It needs to be fixed, otherwise this could happen. Just a nice little bit of kind of backstory to, this is what you are fixing. And in rooms where you can see on screen now, I've got an event which says system failure if it goes to the damage phase. I don't really know what system failure means. I'm guessing that means that next turn, more damage events appear. And obviously you don't want that, so you want system failure to be gone as soon as possible. Otherwise, if it doesn't do anything, I would just leave it there forever. Because what would be the point in wasting your dice? Now, backtracking a little bit here, you can see on screen now I've clicked on ship info on the bottom left, and you can see that every room has an ability. And every room has a certain dice roll you need to get in order to activate that ability. Some of them are 5+, which is the 5 and the little arrow. Some of them are matched. Now, I misunderstood what matched was initially. Basically, what that means is, in order to progress through the line, so to go from first dice to second dice to third dice, you need to have them match up. But some rooms where they have matched this dice to this dice to this dice, the first dice you put in gives you something. And then the second dice you put in gives you twice of that thing. A good demonstration of this is the ship repair. If you put a dice in, it repairs 2 damage, I believe. If you put another dice in, it repairs 3. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. This is being recorded post, by the way. I recorded the episode live originally, so it wasn't post commentary, and it didn't go very well. So this is why I'm post commentating this video, and it's going a hell of a lot better in my opinion. Anyways, moving on. Every crew member you can see in the bottom left has their own abilities as well. Now, I find the Doctor and the Captain have the worst crew abilities. The reason I say this is because it's very difficult. Because you have to move a crew member and then do the dice rolls, you can't move them and then, say, move 2 people into one area, then do the dice rolls after you've moved them. You've got to move them, roll. Move them, roll. It's very difficult to get 2 people into the same room, because obviously you're always moving people to an event. And hence, abilities like the Doctors and the Captains, which require people to be in the same room as them, are just almost entirely useless, because the chances that other people are in the same room as them is very, very low. The Mechanic and the Specialist have the best abilities of the default crew. I will mention that now. This is the default crew that you get. You can choose your crew. Unfortunately, you have to unlock those characters, which gives you a nice bit of progression. You get one character by beating the game, you get another one by repairing a certain amount. You get another one by repairing your ship. Things like this. And that makes it so that obviously in different playthroughs you're going to have different crew members, and obviously they have different abilities. So I don't like the Doctor or the Captain, so perhaps when I unlock the next character I will automatically replace the Doctor or the Captain with that new crew member. So of the default crew, the Mechanic and the Specialist are the best crew members. The Specialist has 1 extra reroll. Every crew member has 2 rerolls, but the Specialist has 3. And you don't have to use a dice to activate her ability, she automatically has the extra reroll. So you can just keep rolling dice until you get what you want, which is really, really good to have. So try to keep her with as many dice as you can. With the Mechanic, if you roll a 5 or higher, and you use that 5 or higher dice within his slot, then your ship gains 1 health. Now, 1 health doesn't sound that much, but I've used this ability not multiple times in one turn, because you can only use it once per turn, but I've used it multiple times in a game, and it has honestly saved my ship quite a few times. It's kept on perhaps 1 health, but then you can go to the ship repair module and repair your ship, which is really, really nice to have. Something I will mention here is that you can go to any room on the ship at any point in time. It doesn't have to have an event at that point in time. This is really nice because obviously you might want food in order to replenish your crew members' dice. So you might want to keep a crew member in the greenhouse so that you can roll dice to put them into the greenhouse's ability slots and gain food for your crew, and that's a really good way of playing. I think the ultimate way to play this game is to focus quite heavily on what the rooms do. I think a lot of people who have had difficulty with this game, including myself, we don't use the rooms too well. We focus on the events. We go, oh no, this event's going to do 3 damage to our ship. We need to go there, sends all our crew members there. And because their hazards are 3 injury die, our entire crew dies. When what we should be focusing on is, before we fix that, because it has a 3 injury die hazard, we need to heal everyone to full. So we need to go to the med bay and heal everyone. And then we need to focus on this. And I think that's really how you need to play, is focus on the rooms. Oh, I need food for my crew. I need dice for my crew. So I will put this person in the greenhouse. They have 5 dice. They're gonna match up a bunch of dice, which gives you 4 food, which you can then give to your entire crew. Your entire crew now has full dice, which makes the game a lot easier, and things like that. And I think that's where a lot of the difficulty in the game comes from, is a lot of people, including myself, have difficulty kind of thinking ahead, in which case we go, as I just mentioned, we go to the room that needs us, the event that needs us, when what we should be doing is going, actually, I don't have to care about these events because I can repair the ship past this point if I go to the repair module. My entire crew's about to die, I can save them if I go to the medbay module, and things like that. It's really, really smart, and that's how you want to play this game, is extremely smart. However, this game is extremely difficult, and I'm going to put a screenshot up now of what this game turned out like in the end, because this game will screw you over, and it can screw you over. And I've played this a few times now, not as much as I probably should have. Of course, this is a first look video, but I've played this game a few times, about 8 or 9 times now, and a few of those times there has been a point in the game where physically you cannot do anything. There's no way practically you can stop the ship from either being destroyed or your crew members dying. There's just no way in hell you could do it. A bit of prior background to the screenshot. In the screenshot, what happened was 3 of the events appeared. The event in the command module, in the very first module at the front of the ship, killed the crew member who was in it. She only had like 1 health, so I couldn't move her out of that module without killing her anyways. So she had to stay in there, she had to roll. I rolled her, she died instantly. Then I moved a crew member into there to kind of stop the damage, and she died instantaneously. Then I used my mechanic to try and repair the ship out of the damage that would have been inflicted. He died, and then I just went, well, sod it, everyone's going to die anyways, I might as well move the captain to this room, rolled a really bad roll, and then he died because of the -2 health. I honestly don't see a practical way of completing the game if it looks like this. There are times where I've had some really good, I can understand how I was meant to do it, and I did it badly. That was my own fault, I completely understand that. But I do have an issue in this game when it comes to RNG. Obviously, it's based on dice, you can't fix that. I understand that, and I'm glad it's based on dice. I think it honestly is really, really cool idea. It's just the severity of the event needs to be perhaps brought back a bit. This was on normal difficulty. You can get hard difficulty. I have no idea what hard difficulty does. I wouldn't want to know. I mean, no. Why would you ever want to play this game on hard? You are a masochist if you want to play this game on hard. You're a masochist for playing this on normal. This game was in normal, and I got these events. And there was nothing I could do about it. The severity of the events needs to be brought back a little bit. Perhaps in normal, say that at any point in time, you can only ever have a maximum of 4 events, and every turn you can only have +2 events added to the ship anyways. So if you, say, have 2 events, you complete one of them. Next turn, you can only have a maximum of 3 events. The turn after that, you can only have a maximum of 1 additional event. I think that would be a much better way of doing it. I think another thing that needs to be looked into is how much dice total you need. You can see in the screenshot that I needed a lot of dice totals, which were very difficult to get with a single crew member, which meant that I couldn't put the crew. I needed basically to put double crew members in certain rooms, and I couldn't physically do that without either killing them or risking it. And even if I risked it, they probably died because hazards. That's the biggest problem I have with the game right now. The game is going to be updated. The devs do appear to be very social with the community, and they do appear to already have a plan in place in what they're going to update, and obviously with a bunch of people basically going, we don't like this, we don't like that, perhaps they'll change it, maybe they'll update the game in some way. What I think the game might benefit from is, and I don't honestly know how difficult this would be to implement, but later on down the line, a menu would be nice where you could select how bad the RNG was, so you could customize how bad it was. So, like I just said, perhaps a menu where you can say, at any point in time, I can only have a maximum of 3 events. At any point in time, I can only have a maximum of 1 event added per turn. Make the chances on the die more often, so you could say, like, I want to roll a 4+ more often, or a 4- more often. If people want to make the game even harder, they can. That would be really nice to have, but again, I don't know what options specifically you'd put in, and I don't know how difficult that would be to implement, but that would be something to think about. Anyways, my conclusions on Tharsis. It's a really, really nice game. It's great looking, it has a great soundtrack from what I've heard of it already. It does sound rather limited, but it really does bring out the tension in the game. It really does make you think quickly, and in that making you think quickly, it makes you make mistakes, which you then go, I really shouldn't have done that. And that, I think, is the antithesis of what this game is about. It's difficult, don't get me wrong, and I do agree the difficulty can spike. Different games do different things. As I said, I've had games where I can easily see that I could have won that game if I hadn't done something stupid, and I came out of those games going, God, if I'd only done this, or if I'd only done that. And that is great, because that makes me want to play again. That makes me want to go, right, we're going to play again, and if this situation appears again, or a situation like this appears, I know exactly what I need to do. But in the situations where even I physically cannot understand how you're meant to do it, Like, I can't physically see how you can complete those situations without killing all of your crew or without destroying your ship. I just can't see how it happens. In those situations, I get the frustration from people that it's like, this game screwed me over. There's no way I could have won this game no matter what I did. And there are those times, and if you can look past those times, I would recommend this game. If you are someone who cannot, then perhaps look elsewhere, or keep an eye on it and see what they patch in, because that would be really, really good to see. One thing that they are adding pretty soon is missions. I'm not quite sure what they are going to be. Perhaps they're going to be like scenarios or something like this, where it's maybe a shorter campaign, something like this. I don't honestly know, but the button for it's in the menu. So if you want to hold off buying this game until missions come out just to see what happens and what they update up until that point, I am honestly going to recommend that, because I don't think this game deserves a bad rap, and it's getting one, purely because of how frustrated people have gotten, and maybe they have a right to be, and maybe they don't. The type of people who need to play this are the people, and this is play this currently, are the people who can look at a game and say, I should have done this, I should have done that, this game can be beaten if I do something different. Not the kind of people who go, oh, I just got screwed by RNG, bye. Not those people. If you do not like RNG, if you do not like Dark Souls or being screwed over by games in general, do not play this game. Guys, this has been Tharsis First Look. The game is currently on sale until January 18th for £7.25. That's about $10. That is a really good price for this game. I would highly recommend this game at that price. At the original price of £11, which is about $15, I would still recommend it. I'd say the price for it on sale currently is much more worthwhile, but obviously if a game is on sale, it's worth buying it more often than not anyways. Guys, I've been Phoenix Cypher. I've been your host. Thank you for watching this Tharsis First Look. I wish you well. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, then hit like. If you did not enjoy the video, then hit a dislike. I've been your host. Adios, mis amigos.